welcome back.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You know you like that.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Math Talk with Mr. Faison, and I'm Mr. Faison, or Mr. Fazo. As long as you know, today we're working on solving quadratic equations, part 1. So, in solving quadratic equations, part 1, what we're talking about is how to solve a quadratic equation that has a leading coefficient that's 1. So, leading coefficient is your coefficient that's in the very front. And our coefficient that's in the front is a 1. We can't see it, but we know it's there because it's an x there. So we know it's a 1 there. So in problem number 1, it tells us x squared plus 4x plus 3. And they want us to solve for this. So first thing we're going to do is I want you to put 2 groups of parentheses. All right. So first thing we're going to do inside those parentheses is this first little spot right here, we're going to put an x. And we're going to put an x right here. So whenever you have a leading coefficient that's 1, we always going to start off with an x in both parentheses. Then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves a question. What numbers can I multiply to get 3, but if I add them together, I'll get 4? Once again, what numbers can I multiply to get 3, but if I add them together, I'll get 4? So let me show you. So if I'm saying 3, what numbers can I multiply to get 3? It's only 1 and 3. If I add them 2 together, I'm going to get 4. So my answer is 1 and 3. So I will put this in the other box, 1 and 3. And this will be my answer. Now, it doesn't matter if the 1 and the 3 was switched. Or if the 3 came first and the 1 came second, it wouldn't have mattered. The answer would still be the answer. All right, let's jump over to problem number 2. Problem number 2 is telling me x squared plus 5x minus 14. First thing I want you to do, draw your parentheses. What goes in the first part of both parentheses? An x and an x. So the next question I ask myself is, what numbers can I multiply to get negative 14? But if I add them together, I get a positive 5. All right. So if I got negative 14, what numbers can I multiply to get that? So I know numbers I can multiply to get negative 14 is 2 and negative 7. If I add 2 plus negative 7, what do I get? I would get a negative 5. That's not what we're looking for. If I did the opposite, negative 2 and 7, if I add that together, what do I get? I get positive 5. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for negative 2 and a positive 7. If I multiply negative 2 and positive 7, I get negative 14. If I add them together, I get a positive 5. That's what we're looking for. So I got plus 7 and I got negative 2. Once again, it don't matter if the negative 2 went first or if the 7 went first. But that's my answer. All right. Hopping over to problem number 3. I see x squared plus 2x equals 35. What I want to do is I want this to look like that. All right. So I have to move this 35 over. But it's a brick wall right there. The equal sign represents a brick wall. So I have to move it mathematically. So what I'll do is subtract 35 on both sides. And I'll rewrite the problem. X squared plus 2x minus 35. But now we have equals 0. All right. Once again, I'm going to create 2 parentheses. And I'm still going to keep the equal 0. What goes in the first part? X, x. All right. Now what you want to ask yourself is, what numbers could I multiply to get negative 35? But if I add them together, I would get a positive 2. What I would advise y'all to do is, on the side of your paper that you're taking notes on, write these little charts. Write your chart out and see what numbers you can multiply to get negative 35. But if you add them, you'll get a positive 2. Right? Those numbers will be positive 7 and a negative 5. Right? But we're not done yet with this problem because they said equal to 0. So what I would do now is I would take this x plus 7 and equal it to 0. Right? Remember, we want to get the x by itself. So what I'm going to do is move the 7 over. Subtract 7, because I got to move that 7 over so the x can be by itself. Now x is equal to negative 7. I would do the same thing with the 5. X minus 5 equals 0. Add 5, because we want to get it away from the x. Plus 5, plus 5. X is now equal to 5. All right? That's only when they say equal to 0. Hey, that's solving quadratic equations with Mr. Faison. And look, y'all know where to find these T's at, man. Come on, holla at me.
God's plan. God's plan.